Hey y'all, welcome to Girl Meets Green. My name's Norma, your host of whatever. It's been so long. We're moving into Love is Blind season 8, but really quick. I meant to post an update video and it just got away from me, and now it feels like too late. Like I'm already trying to review this season and all of that, so I was like, I'll just put my update in this first episode. But yes, Tyler and Ashley are getting divorced. Are we shocked? Completely. Who saw that coming? I know I didn't. Did you? Just kidding. We all did. I mean, come on. I think to put my thoughts like together, really simple TLDR of my thoughts. I think if Ashley does want to pursue a like more public career, or like just if she wants to be a public figure in any way, I hope that she does come out and speak her truth. I know it can be hard when we had love for someone and feeling like, oh, we don't want to badmouth them or like send, negativity their way. But at the end of the day, if she was wronged, she deserves to tell her story. If that's what she wants to do, I hope she does. I will say, I saw the divorce coming. Something I didn't see coming, I don't know if anyone else had this like thought, was how much support would be out there for her. Like Jessie Woo was like, all right, look, I was calling you a bird because you was acting like a bird, but she was very supportive. They did a whole like live, her, Ricky, and her lawyer friend, I can't remember her name, but she's done a few episodes with her from last season. Just kind of going over like what Ashley needed to watch out for, what she could ask for, what her lawyer could do, all of these things, all the possibilities of going through this divorce, what she could do about Love is Blind. Because personally, I think Love is Blind did dirty as fuck. Like, there's no way they didn't know all of that. All those rulings against him, like, I mean, she ignored it, but also, like, what kind of background check did you do to let that man on the show with all that background? Okay. So anyways, yeah, I was actually kind of surprised to see the support. Like, people were like, yeah, you was wrong. Like, you were bugging. But we got your back, right? Like, you've seen the light, so it's all good. And that I will say I was surprised to see. I didn't think people were going to be, like, on her head. But I thought people would just be like, we told her. Moving on. So, yeah, that was really interesting. I'm genuinely very curious to know what dissolved this marriage. And I say that because that woman did not leave that man, even when he was claiming that the lesbian couple stored his sperm, like, in their refrigerator. Like, he didn't say that, but, like, that's essentially what he was saying, was like, well, I don't know what they did with the extra sperm from that day. Like, I'm sure we all know that you can't just put sperm in a fridge and use it later, because what the fuck would you need a sperm bank for? Well, like, why would it cost so much money? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would it be such a process when you could just pay someone for their sperm and put it in the fridge? Like, let's be logical here. That didn't send her running for the hills. So I would love to know what actually did. But those are my final thoughts on that. I actually made the video, but just like by the time I was like editing and uploading, I was like, girl, it's too late. Let that thing go. And in it, I was mostly reiterating things that were said in the past, kind of to allude to like, yeah, girl, you should have reached this conclusion sooner. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I wish her nothing but the best. I hope that he takes accountability. Like, honestly, here's one thing that I will say, like, when we cancel people or when people on, you're saying things about public figures, like me, I genuinely hope people change. I talked about Lila like a dog, but I'm all for a redemption arc for him. Like, I'm all for him finally seeing shit for what it is and seeing what he did. You know what I mean? Like, and growing from that. And I feel like that about anybody. I really want to start speaking on that, but that's besides the point. I feel like that about anyone. So, yeah. Those are my final thoughts on that. I wish them both the best. I hope that they both take accountability for the things, that were on them. I hope they move forward and grow and just be better people, So, let's jump into Love is Blind, Season 8, Episodes 1 through 6. Now, I want to start off by saying, at least this one is going to be a little bit different. I feel like normally my videos are like recap / reviews. So I'm like, okay, in episode 1, whoop, 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 whoop. But this shit was boring, you guys. When I tell you I watched this twice because it like, first time we were like half paying attention. It was boring as hell. Second time around, watched it twice. And even then, this first couple that I'm about to talk about, I don't remember a thing about them. Even watching back twice. Other than swing dancing. But yeah, so I'm just going to kind of go couple by couple. The last few couples are love triangle couples, and so we'll talk about them. But yeah, I'm just going to give general thoughts on the couples. Because also I'm thinking about it, and I don't think they really showed much of like people who didn't get picked in a sense. Like the ones they showed were the ones that were part of the love triangle, which now I'm like, was that normal? Did they do that every other season? But anywho, yeah. So we really can just talk about the couples and the love triangles because those are the people that were mostly shown. The like pod part of it all was just boring. Like there was nothing super interesting. Even in the previews of the season before it came out, it was like, okay, like, lukewarm tea in there, we'll see. So yeah, it was very boring. So we're just gonna go couple by couple. Let's start with Monica and Joey. Like I said, don't remember much about him. I remember him talking about swing dancing. They were our boring couple, but not like the boring couples of the past, if that makes sense. Like the boring couples of the past were still interesting. They were just a boring couple in sense of no drama. These two, for me, like I said, I don't remember anything. I just remember him talking about swing dancing and then her being like, I swing dance every week. And that's it. Like that's all I remember of them. I think I remember their meeting being a little bit awkward, but I could be wrong about that. But anyway, yeah, they are our first settled couple, second episode in, boom, good to go. Next up, we have Sarah and Ben, and if I'm not mistaken, he talked about religion, about not being religious, but being of faith, I think is what he called it. I hope I'm not getting this wrong and it's another couple, because that would be so awkward. Maybe I shouldn't be making this video, but we here, honey. We need to move on from these episodes into the next ones. So if I'm wrong, my bad. But yeah, I believe that. And then she was not religious and she asked, like, would you want me to go to church with you? Something along those lines. But they connected on religion and being aligned with like life opinions on life things or something. I don't know. They're together. Woohoo. Yay. I'm sorry. Those two couples clearly did not do anything to remain in my brain. So we're just gonna let them go on and be happy. Not to mention, it literally was just white woman, white man couples, and they all just blended together, if I'm being really honest. Taylor and Daniel. Y'all, now these two, I feel like the tea, well, I don't know if the tea's gonna be hot. They didn't really show them in the previews, though, for the next few episodes, so I don't know, maybe they end? I'm not sure, but basically, they connected on their like love for Christmas and family and Taco Bell. Apparently, she talks about a tattoo she has in her inner lip of Taco Bell. All these things, like they are like aligning, they're connecting. They're like, you know, the banter is bantering. Actually, they get each other gifts towards the end of their courtship, and he gets her a Christmas stocking with a D for Daniel, and he's like, and maybe you could get the matching one for T. And she's like, I have this one with the T. There is also a scene where they're talking about Instagram and he's like, wait, what's your handle? And you can see that she found that kind of weird, which everyone does because like love is blind. Like, why would I give you my Instagram handle? But then she's like, oh, do you follow me? He's like, no, I don't think so. He's like, and I would remember your handle and I don't. And she's like, okay. So two things that you're kind of like side-eyeing, but okay. So they meet, she sees him. She's like, he's my type. He's a little bit shorter than expected, but that's okay. Another excuse not to wear heels, right? Seems to have loved her some him. And then, like Tate said, we get the whole, like, reality TV turned true crime sound that Netflix loves to use on this show, right? Where it's like the person comes out and it's all ominous and scary, and then they're telling you something they found out or something. And Taylor comes out. She's talking about how when they'd opened up, he looked familiar. Then she remembers this someone on Instagram following her. He had this picture, like a Christmas picture, holding a glass, yada, yada. And so she believes that that was Daniel. She didn't follow him back, but she knows he followed her. And then she says how her Instagram bio basically had everything they talked about. Her love for Christmas, Taco Bell, family, and faith. She said it's like all in her bio, the nurse thing, all of that. And that's kind of scary to think about. That like this person could have just curated themselves to be your perfect match, you know? And so that's kind of where she's at essentially. It's like, that's all there. Like, I don't know if he just saw that and fucking, you know, became that. And so then we see her like meeting up with him at like a diner or something or a restaurant, asking him about it. And she says, did you have a picture in front of a Christmas tree, like with your legs crossed, holding a drink? And he's like, I had one in front of a fireplace, but I wasn't holding a drink. And it's like, sir, you know what she's asking, okay? Like, you could have just said, yeah, I follow you. No, I don't. Let me give you an explanation, right? And instead, we're beating around the bush, because he says it like 2 or 3 times of like in front of a fireplace. Like, and I have a lot of Christmas pictures, but none in front of a tree. Sir, I don't think that that's her concern, is that she's memorizing the picture wrong. Like, answer the question you know she asking. What the fuck? And so that's how it ends. Next up, we have Lauren and Dave and Molly. So they are a love triangle, but Lauren and Dave end up together. Now let's talk about Dave real quick. The first few episodes of just boring pod stuff, the one thing that did stand out to me was how just annoying Dave was and how like major ick vibes he was. And I could not believe that these two women were so into him. I don't get it. And Dave is one of those people. There's always a Dave on every season that you're watching, and you're watching women make connection with the person, and you're like, why? Get away from him. What do you see in him? And that's how I felt with Dave. Though his intro to like meeting the women was like, so what's wrong? So you're on Love Is Blind. What's wrong with you? And then I believe it was with Lauren when she's like, oh, hi, yeah, I'm Lauren. Like, how old are you? He says how old he is. He asks her how old she is. She says 30. He's like, oh, so you're like past, you're not attractive anymore or something like that. Lauren, girl, baby, the way I would have stood up and said, it was lovely to meet you, goodbye. It was lovely to meet you, goodbye. Because what is that? Those jokes are awful and poor taste. And what that sets you up is a literal lifetime of this man making digs as jokes. Ew. Like, I'm sorry. It's so funny because I feel like at some point in the social media history, we found that cute. Like, women would post stuff about their guy, like, making mean jokes at her or just degrading her, even if it was in small ways, and thinking, like, it's so funny, like, oh, their relationship's so quirky. And at my big age, I'm just like, that's nasty, that's ugly, and who the fuck would want that for the rest of their life? Someone just, like, beating you down every chance they get as a joke. Absolutely not. No, thank you. So anyways, yeah, that's that on that. So yeah, it's him and Lauren, him and Molly. Molly, if I'm being real, is giving the same energy he is, that just like witty in a mean way. Something's going on there that maybe you shouldn't be trying to get married type of, I don't know. They gave me the same energy. I'm just going to be real with you. Lauren was just so sweet and innocent, and I don't know why she liked him, but she did. And so essentially he's like caught between the two. And towards the end, at a date with Molly, he mentions how in the beginning she was his number one. And then he says something along the lines later, like towards the end of that date, of like, yeah, I realize, or like, I understand that at the end of this, I have to make a choice and it has to end one way or another. Like, so he's essentially saying, like, I understand that eventually I'm gonna have to choose one and it's gonna end with the other one. Well, Molly interprets all of that to mean that she is his number one when he said in the beginning. So I think what he was saying was like, it started off strong with you, but then someone else came along, and I don't know. She interpreted that as like, I'm his number one, point blank, period. Then she interpreted the whole like, it's gotta end thing to mean that he was ending it with Lauren. And so she goes back into the women's quarter saying that to everyone who will listen. And just saying shit. And so then Lauren goes on her day. Molly's at the women's quarter like, it's been way too long. He's supposed to be breaking up with her. He made promises. He promised me. We didn't see any of these promises. We didn't hear him say any of it. This is just her saying that. Like, what is going on? So yeah, that didn't happen. She has her date with him where she kind of tells him, hey, she's saying you said she was your number one. And he's like, no, not what I said. And then he kind of like gives her a little bit of reassurance. She's obviously still not sure. She walks away. Molly ends up back on a date with him, I think. And that's where he breaks up with her. But he's like nervous to do it. I don't think he wanted to be the one to do it, but it's like there was no other option because he's the one who had to choose. So like he had to do it. But then also on her end, I feel like, I don't know, she was being really weird about it. Like she wanted to like take advantage of the fact that he didn't want to, and was like, oh well, make him keep stringing me along or something. It was just so bizarre. And at one point she's like, it sounds like you're trying to make me do it. And he's like, no, he's like, I thought I already did. Because he tells her like he had a stronger connection. And he just feels really bad about having to end it. And so she says that, and he's like, I kind of was clear on that, I thought. It was just weird. And then she gets back to the quarters, Lauren's all by herself, and she like sits down to talk to her. It's basically like, sorry if like I'm the reason you were like, you know, guarded or like not wanting to be around the group when I was talking, yada yada. And basically Molly is trying to sell it as like, oh, he was selling us both a pipe dream, when he wasn't. Like, to me it was pretty clear that he was like, I'm getting to know both of you, I'm coming between both of you, don't know. And she was trying to present it in a different way, which caused Lauren to have doubts about him, which I think she should have doubts about him regardless, but not because of this causing it, you know? And so, yeah, So yeah, he ends up with Molly and then eventually asks Lauren to marry him. The meeting was okay, slightly awkward. I feel like all of the meetings this season were just weird and awkward. But not in like a concerning, like, oh my God, they're not gonna work way, just in like, oh, what's going on? Why are y'all acting like this way? So yeah, they had a pretty normal meeting. They both seemed attracted to each other. And so yeah, they're good to go, I guess. We have Alex and Madison and Meg. And Madison is dating both Alex and Mason. And then Mason is dating Madison and Meg. There we go. Basically, Madison is kind of like telling Mason she's not too sure about him because of how things are going, but also she's like, you're Meg's number one and only, and so it feels weird to like continue talking to you knowing that I have another great option, yada yada. And he's like, no, like, we should still talk, we should still get to know each other, like, I hope that doesn't stop you, yada yada. So they keep talking, but I don't think she was fully feeling him. I just don't think she was fully ready to give it to Alex. So yeah, so they're kind of, that's what's happening with them. And then we have Meg. And so eventually Mason tells Madison, you're it, like, you're number one. Like, you're it. And she's essentially kind of like, no, I can't say the same. I'm still on the fence, or like, you know, still waiting to see. And yeah, so then she ends up talking to Alex. I believe that they agree to be boyfriend and girlfriend. And she's like, okay, I guess I gotta break up with like my other person or whatever. And she goes, and so when Meg finds this out, Meg is kind of like, so now I'm his second choice. Like, now I won't even know because she's breaking up with him, so he won't have to like pick. She doesn't know yet about what he said to Madison. When Madison breaks up with him, he tries to take it back. He tries to be like, yeah, I felt wrong when I said it. And she's like, okay. And so now Madison is pissed because she's like, what the hell? Like, I'm breaking up with you, so you're taking it back. How convenient. And then she basically tells him, like, I think you were trying to keep two good things and you might end up with none because of it. And she tells him how she talked to Meg and it's clear that he was trying to keep two good things, yada, yada. So she makes it sound like they talked, they were on the same page, they were both breaking up with him, they were both upset with him, and so he's just like, damn, it's over. So he goes to the men's quarter, he's like, oh, it's over, yada, yada. But when she goes to the women's quarter to talk about it, Meg is like, why would you say that? Like, what the hell? But then she does end up going to Meg, and ending it, because she's essentially like, I will never know if I wasn't second choice, and I will not be able to get past that. And so they end. But she does kind of talk to him about how difficult that is and how it just felt so right, but she wouldn't be able to get past that. And so now we have Madison and Alex, and Madison is talking to Alex, essentially like not how disgusted, but like how turned off she was by the way Mason acted. Like, she can't believe that he said it and then took it back and yada yada. And Alex is just giving her Mason's side, kind of trying to like reassure her that like it wasn't malicious. He wasn't like purposely trying to tell both of you the same thing. Like, he just, I think he got confused, which, I'll be real, makes sense. Is it crappy? Yeah. But I could see, I'm not saying I fully believe it or that's fully what happened. I could see him getting caught up in the moment of the date and being like, okay, you must be the one, you're it. And then leaving. I'm sure we've all had that moment where you say something intimate to someone and then you're like, I didn't mean that. Like, I am not interested in this person, or like, I did not mean to put that person at that level or confuse them. You know, like, it happens. And so like, I could see that happening, and I think that that's what Alex was getting at, was like, I don't think any of it was malicious. I think he genuinely is confused. It's a very confusing process. And she's like, it's not that. It's just that he like tried to take it back. And it's like, girl, move the fuck out. Why do you even care? You don't want him. You haven't wanted him. You don't, like, to sabotage someone else because you don't like the way he said something or that he tried to take something back. It's just bizarre and weird. And Madison also has kind of been a red flag to me this entire time. She says she's avoidant, but also like Alex would try to get reassurance from her of like, you're not gonna like up and leave me. And like, in not so many words, she was essentially kind of like, I don't know if I'll do that. I'm gonna fight and do my best not to, because that's not who I want to be, but I can't guarantee that that won't happen. Like, that's essentially what she was kind of doing. Like, he was like, you know, I had partners where it was really toxic, a lot of fighting, whatever. And she's like, I can't promise we won't fight. And it's like, you know, that's not what he's saying. Like, you know, that's not what he means. Like, I hate what I already did this, right? When people try to like hone in on a specific thing someone said, and it's like, that's not what they're talking about, and you know it. Like, you know what the actual issue is. You know what the, come on, girl. And so he flat out asks for reassurance, and she's like, I can't promise it'll always be perfect, but I can promise I'll give you my best and I'll try. It's like, baby, that's not, girl, that is not good enough. Especially when all you showed him is this weird side of you when conflicts arise or when trauma's involved. Like, he don't want to person that girl. And that's essentially what happens. He's just kind of like, she says how she's mad that what she needed from him was validation of her feelings, and she felt like he was invalidating her feelings by validating Mason's feelings, when he's like, I'm just trying to say I understand both your sides, and she just don't want to hear it. And honestly, I don't think any of us should be that way. I think we need to be able to hear people tell us differing opinions. Like, for us to feel like our friends or our partners in our lives have to agree with our opinion of something just because we said so. And especially in a scenario like this, where you have like two people with two perspectives, and so you're in the middle kind of being like, I'm sorry, I understand both perspectives, like they both make sense to me. I don't think it's healthy to be like, no, you have to choose. You have to choose me, or it's going to hurt my feelings, or like, I'm not going to like it and I'm going to be upset. Like, it just, people are allowed to have their opinions. Your friend or your partner is allowed to be like, I'm neutral on this, because, you know, in situations like these, it obviously depends on the subject at hand. But yeah, so yeah, he's essentially like, yeah, I can't continue forward with this. He's like, we don't, like, it's not enough. But being honest, it sounded like he almost kind of wanted to ask her, like, to continue dating outside of the show. But it was clear that that's not where she was at, because she was just so mad about the Alex thing. Like, he tried to keep the date going and change the subject, and she was just like, I just can't. And it's like, well, good thing. Honestly, I think Alex dodged a bullet. I don't think that they would have been a good match. I'm not saying she's a terrible human, but what is it? He has anxious attachment style and she has avoidant, and that's just not going to mix. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But yeah, you know, it's like, I need reassurance while you have a person who's like, and I need to be left alone. Or like, I don't want to address this. That won't mix well, I don't think. Okay, last but not least, we have my low-key favorite, but I am a little bit concerned. We'll talk about why. And that is Virginia and Devin and Brittany, which, okay, that's her name. So Devin is talking about Brittany and Virginia, and it's kind of interesting to see because he's talking to like two very different personalities, but connecting with both, which is so interesting to me. So he's, I think, like a youth center director and a basketball coach, right? The whole basketball, sports, lovable guy situation, right? And then we have Brittany, who is like a former basketball player, like kind of same flow, same energy as him. That same like twin energy, you know, like just like me, but the girl version. And then you have Virginia, who I feel like both would match as a partner in different ways. So like with Brittany, he would have that, you know, those relationships where it's like, we're just friends, like we're like power couple, like she could come and help him like take his business to the next level, and they'll be like the freaking power couple owners of, or I mean, you know, directors of the youth place, and coach and his wife, like that whole nine. And then we have Virginia, who was a dancer, right? She's very girly, very like feminine and toned down. And you could see that too for him, right? Of more of like the basketball wife energy, right? Like, I've got the snacks for the team. I organize the sleepovers, and I, you know, like I'm the background. I'm like the paperwork of it, right? Like, it's just cute. Like, she even says like in one, like she can picture like being at the park or at the recreation center. She says like somewhere where he's coaching or doing his thing, and she's like, and I'm pregnant and holding the other baby like in my arm with my this and my that. Like, she just envisions that perfect vision. Exactly what you think when you think of them together. But yeah, so he's talking to both. It's going well for him with both. Obviously, like, Brittany's super cool about it. She's like tomboy, just like real chill energy. So she's kind of just like, I get it. Like, it's how this process goes. So she's just talking to him, getting to know him. And then we have Virginia, who she's struggling with it a little bit more, but like she's handling it well. But she just feels like, you know, it's like testing her confidence and, you know, her sense of self, where it's like, why are you struggling so hard? Like, I'm awesome, you know, like, and you kind of talked about that. So that's what's going on there. And so where things go left is Devin opens up to Brittany about how when he was younger, He had the situation, like a lot of pain in his hips or something. And essentially he started like abusing ibuprofens, which I didn't even know you could do. I thought you just got used to ibuprofen, which maybe that's why. But he talked about how like he was at one point taking like 20 ibuprofens a day to like help with the pain so he could keep playing because he didn't want to give it up. He was religious, but he was kind of giving up on God because of that situation. And then one day kind of just surrendered to God about it. Ends up going to like one more doctor for another opinion. I think he said he'd been to multiple. And this doctor's like, oh, like you need a double hip replacement. And that's normally for older men, obviously. So I think that's why other doctors didn't consider it. But he got it and it worked. And so he was like, that was God. And so yeah, that's why he kind of has his relationship with God now. And so he tells her that story, you know, he's in tears thinking about it. She's in tears listening to it, Brittany. And this prompts her to speak a little bit of her truth and her story, which is that she was dating a woman and this woman could see a future with her, right? Like being wives, kids, the whole life together. And she was just kind of like, whoa, no. Like she was like, I pictured that with a man. Like I pictured my future with a man. And obviously not obviously, but kind of obviously, the energy he's giving is very much this. And, you know, he's just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, and he's like, so like, it was just that one experience. And she's like, no, there were more. Like, and he's like, so do you just like not like women anymore? She's like, no, I do, but I just envisioned my future with a guy. And so obviously he's kind of concerned with that. A little bit of ignorance of the whole like, oh, so you cheat on me with a woman, when it's like, there's no like bigger like chance of cheating because your partner likes the same sex as what, like there's the same chance of cheating if that person's gonna cheat if they only like guys and they like guys and girls and vice versa. Like it's just like, let's use our brains a little bit. But so there's a little bit of ignorance there, but I also kind of understood, well, I don't know that was his stance, but the way I interpreted it, if I'm being real, and this is no judgment at all because I love everybody, but the way I interpreted it was that Brittany could see a future with a woman, but societal pressures like tells her not to. Like, cause she was like, no, but I envisioned my future with a man. The way she was talking it seemed a little bit more of like, that's just what's expected of me and I don't want to go against the grain. And so it's like, yeah, I'll date women. And then when I'm ready to settle down, I'll go date a man type of thing. And maybe she hasn't yet realized that like, her future could be with a woman, like, and she might like that, you know, like it just was strange. And I, like Tate said, bro, I was cracking up because I thought the same thing. She was not beating the allegations with the hot pink. She had on a hot pink suit jacket with some like, I think dress pants and some pink flats. It was giving. That went a little left, and then in their next meeting, she comes in, and they both came in to break up with each other. She's essentially like, his reaction made her realize that they're not the ones for each other. And then he obviously was on the same page because he was kind of like, yeah, no, like I wasn't seeing it either. And so they're done. And then we have him in Virginia. Now, the concern that he had, and I as well, is that we don't really know much about Virginia. But they keep talking. They cry about something that to me still felt surface level. But however they connect, he writes her this letter and he proposes and they meet and they seem to like each other. So everything seems to be going well there. So those are the couples. I'm very excited. The previews look very interesting. A lot to unpack. I'm not going to do the whole what I thought about the previews thing because I'm just excited to see the next episodes. So we will end it here. I hope you enjoyed. Like the video if you did. Comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the couples and the triangles and what you thought. Subscribe for more content like this, and I will catch you in the next one.